They were immortal icons, once shaking the world with their extraordinary talents. But who could have imagined that behind the dazzling stage lights lay agonizing pain slowly tearing them apart? A legendary soul music figure, crushed by a fateful fall, lost not only their career but their life. A musical genius, struck down by the disease of the century. And a hip-hop icon, who fought death twice, ultimately succumbed to agony. These are just a few of the 30 heartbreaking and regretful stories hidden in the shadows of fame. The remaining tales are even more gut-wrenching. Brace yourselves before you face the devastating terminal illnesses that robbed them of everything: their careers, their health, and in the end, their lives. Tyan Watkins, known to the world as TBoss, is a warrior who faced a curse from birth that threatened to shatter her dreams. As a member of the legendary girl group TLC, she helped sell millions of albums worldwide with hits like No Scrubs and Waterfalls, solidifying her place in music history. Yet, behind the bright lights and glitz of fame, TBoss battled an invisible, unrelenting enemy: sickle cell anemia. Diagnosed at a young age, this life-altering disease quickly became a ghost that haunted her every step. Her blood cells, misshapen and deprived of oxygen, caused agonizing pain that ripped through her bones. Many nights, she lay in torment, sweat pouring down as she fought to breathe through the suffering, yet no one knew. On stage, she was the epitome of grace and energy, dancing and smiling, while behind the curtains, her body was in rebellion. There were times when doctors insisted her body couldn't endure another performance, but TBoss refused to quit. She continued to deliver powerful vocals and fiery performances, leaving audiences in awe. Her struggle wasn't just physical. It cost her health, her opportunities, and more than once, it brought her to the brink of despair. But TBoss' unyielding spirit refused to be broken. Through sheer determination, she learned to manage her illness, adapt her lifestyle, and raise awareness about sickle cell anemia. Her story is one of incredible strength and resilience, a true testament to the power of a courageous woman who overcame unimaginable odds, leaving anyone who hears her story moved and inspired. Della Reese, the legendary entertainment icon whose soulful voice and unforgettable roles touched millions, became a symbol of American entertainment. Best known for her role in Touched by an Angel, Della captivated audiences with her deep humanity and unmatched talent. Yet, behind the dazzling stage lights and admiration, Della faced a silent and unrelenting battle: type 2 diabetes. This disease, relentless and cruel, was not just a challenge. It was a nightmare that slowly took control of her body. Della endured constant, searing pain, and her legs lost feeling, eventually confining her to a wheelchair. As if that weren't enough, cardiovascular complications made every beat of her heart feel like an immense weight, draining her strength and energy. The vibrant woman we once knew, full of life and passion, was now haunted by the fear of her own declining health. Despite the agony, Della kept a brave face. Every public appearance hid the constant ache, as she tirelessly fought to maintain a smile. But diabetes was unforgiving, slowly taking her away from the stage she loved, making it impossible for her to continue living the dream of sharing her gift with the world. The pressures of the entertainment industry, the grueling schedules, and the competitive atmosphere undoubtedly played a role in her health's decline. Stress, poor habits, and an increasingly sedentary lifestyle made the disease all the more devastating. Della Reese fought valiantly until the very end. But in the end, diabetes took everything from her: her health, her career, and her personal happiness. Her final chapter was marked by pain, but the image of the resilient artist, the woman who kept going despite it all, will forever be etched in the hearts of her fans. Morris Day, the funk music legend, once the radiant star of the 1980s, now faces a battle against an enemy more insidious than any he'd ever encountered. As the charismatic leader of the time, Morris was the embodiment of funk. His magnetic stage presence and raw talent gave birth to timeless classics like Jungle Love and The Bird, songs that would define a generation. But over time, that brilliance dimmed, overshadowed by the relentless march of Parkinson's disease, a foe that slowly took control of his body, the very instrument he'd once wielded with such power. Parkinson's, with its unseen grip, turned his world upside down. The same tremors that had once punctuated his high-energy performances now betrayed him, making each step a struggle. The legs that had made audiences jump to their feet now wobbled, threatening to give way beneath him. Every move, every note was a battle. His body no longer cooperating with the man who had once commanded the stage effortlessly. The once unshakable confidence began to erode, as his soul wrestled with the question of whether to surrender or press on. Though Parkinson's wasn't directly caused by his legendary career, it's believed that the stress and strain of decades in the unforgiving music industry accelerated its grip. The pressure to constantly perform, to never stop, pushed Morris to his limits, until his body could no longer keep up with the demands of his fame. Despite the exhaustion, despite the overwhelming sense of helplessness, Morris remained a warrior on stage, determined to prove that his spirit would never bend to the disease that sought to destroy him. But in the end, reality couldn't be denied. The stage, the place where he had poured his heart and soul for so long, became a battlefield he could no longer win. With great sorrow, Morris stepped away from the spotlight, leaving behind the legacy of a legend whose music and spirit will never fade, even if the body that created it could no longer carry on. Sharon Jones, the soul icon whose voice could move mountains, faced her greatest battle in a fight for survival against bile duct cancer. The legendary frontwoman of Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings redefined soul music with her raw, commanding voice and magnetic stage presence. After decades of struggling for recognition in the cutthroat music industry, 2013 brought her career to its peak, but it also brought an unimaginable blow. Just as she was reaching new heights, Sharon was diagnosed with bile duct cancer. This cruel disease hit her like a storm, ravaging both her body and her spirit. The relentless chemotherapy sessions drained her strength, leaving her in constant, agonizing pain that stole her sleep and her comfort. But Sharon was a fighter. She refused to be consumed by illness. Even as her body grew frail and her strength waned, she continued to perform, her every song an act of defiance against the encroaching darkness. Each note was a battle, each performance a testament to her unbreakable will. On stage, she smiled, but behind the glow was the harsh reality, endless coughing, a body worn thin, and a spirit that refused to be extinguished. Despite knowing that the end was near, Sharon never let go of her music. It was her lifeline, the only thing that kept her going through the long, painful nights. By 2016, after 3 long years of fighting, the disease took everything from her. Sharon passed away, leaving behind a legacy that will never fade, her voice, her passion, and her indomitable spirit. But the heartbreaking years of suffering she endured will forever stand as a painful reminder of cancer's relentless power. Curtis Mayfield, the soul and funk legend, was the driving force behind timeless classics like Superfly and People Get Ready. With an extraordinary gift for music, he forever shaped the landscape of sound, leaving an indelible mark on history. But fate, as it often does, dealt him a cruel hand. In 1990, during a performance, a tragic accident saw a stage light rig fall directly onto him, leaving Curtis paralyzed from the neck down. What had once been a brilliant career, one seemingly unstoppable, was suddenly teetering on the edge of despair. The vibrant energy he brought to the stage faded, and he found himself trapped in a body that could no longer obey his will. Yet even as his physical world diminished, his passion for music remained unwavering. Curtis continued to compose, each note a testament to both his pain and his hope. His love for the craft, despite everything, never wavered. But his fight was far from over. Diabetes slowly ravaged his already fragile body, its silent grip only deepening the challenges he faced. His health deteriorated, and the complications made it clear that death was approaching. In 1999, Curtis Mayfield took his final breath, but not before leaving behind a musical legacy that would echo forever. He wasn't just a phenomenal artist, he was a symbol of resilience, a spirit that refused to surrender to life's harshest trials. His story is one of triumph over adversity, a reminder that even when the body fails, the soul can still soar. Fela Anikulapo Kuti, a musical genius and fearless revolutionary, was ultimately brought down by the silent killer of a generation, AIDS. The legendary Nigerian artist not only created the groundbreaking Afrobeat genre, but also used his music as a weapon against tyranny and injustice. His rhythms shook the world, and his words ignited the spirit of resistance across Africa and beyond. But despite his unmatched ability to stand up to brutal dictatorships, Fela couldn't fight off the enemy that waged war inside his own body. In the final years of his life, the disease slowly drained him. The once vibrant icon, known for his boundless energy and fiery stage presence, grew frail. Persistent fevers, searing pain, and fatigue robbed him of his power, yet he kept pushing, dragging his failing body to the stage, treating every performance like it was his last stand. He wasn't just fighting for survival. He was fighting for his art, for his people, for the truth. But in 1997, the world lost him. Fela took his final breath, leaving behind a legacy soaked in rhythm, rebellion, and sorrow. Some say his open, free-spirited lifestyle, especially his many romantic relationships, may have contributed to his fate. Others believe the constant pressure from years of political persecution wore his body down. Still, death couldn't silence him. Fela Kuti's name lives on, eternal, a burning flame of freedom, passion, and music that refuses to die. Don Cornelius, the tragic fall of a cultural icon. Don Cornelius, the visionary creator and host of Soul Train, revolutionized American music television. For over 3 decades, he brought rhythm, soul, and black excellence into living rooms across the nation, reshaping the industry and inspiring generations. But behind the dazzling lights and funky beats, a much darker story was unfolding. In his later years, Don was no longer the confident, commanding figure we all admired. Depression crept in like a storm without warning, tearing through his once unshakable spirit. Sleepless nights, haunting thoughts, and a growing sense of isolation consumed him. Despite all the success he had built, Don faced an invisible collapse, one that fame, fortune, and legacy couldn't shield him from. The pressure of his legacy, the crushing weight of loneliness and personal financial strain quietly chipped away at his mental health. And in 2012, in a heartbreaking moment of solitude and suffering, Don made the devastating decision to end his life. His death wasn't just the passing of a beloved host, it was the silencing of a cultural icon. Though Soul Train will forever groove on in history, Don's story is a poignant reminder that even legends can suffer in silence. Phife Dawg, the hip-hop legend silenced by diabetes. Phife Dawg, a true icon of hip-hop and a founding member of a tribe called Quest, lit up stages around the world with his razor-sharp rhymes and infectious energy. From a young age, he had the power to move millions. His voice, his rhythm, his passion became the heartbeat of a generation. But behind the fame and flashing lights was a silent battle that would ultimately consume him. Diagnosed with type 1 diabetes early in life, Phife lived each day under the shadow of a relentless illness. While his music brought joy to countless fans, he endured constant fear, strict diets, and the harsh reality of a body slowly betraying him. Life on the road, late nights, grueling tours, irregular meals, only made managing his condition harder. As the years went by, the toll became unbearable. Kidney failure, chronic fatigue, and other complications pushed him to the edge, eventually requiring a kidney transplant. For a moment, there was hope. But even after the surgery, his health continued to spiral downward. Forced to step away from the music that once defined him, Phife quietly faded from the spotlight. In 2016, the disease that had haunted him for so long claimed his life. His passing left a hole in the heart of hip-hop, a reminder that even legends are not invincible. Yet, his legacy lives on through the beats, the bars, and the spirit he poured into every verse. Bernie Warl, a funk legend's final battle. Bernie Warl, one of the true masterminds behind funk music, lit up the world with his electrifying rhythms and unmatched creativity. As a founding force of Parliament Funkadelic, he didn't just play music, he helped define an era. His keyboard was magic, and his sound was revolutionary. But in 2016, just as his brilliance continued to inspire new generations, life delivered a devastating blow. Bernie was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. It was a cruel twist of fate, like death itself had come knocking, ready to silence a legend. The disease tore through him like wildfire, The man who once commanded stages with boundless energy and genius was now locked in a daily war with unbearable pain. His body, once the vessel of funk's wildest dreams, had become a battleground. And the fight wasn't just physical, it was emotional. The music he once poured his soul into was now only a memory. His keyboard, once alive with soul and sound, fell silent. Despite a brave fight, the cancer proved merciless. Bernie was forced to step away from the music he loved so deeply. The silence he left behind was deafening. In late 2016, the world lost more than a musician, we lost a pioneer. Bernie Worrell's passing left a hole in the heart of funk culture that can never truly be filled. Some say the relentless pace of the music industry, the endless tours, and the high-stress lifestyle may have weakened his body over time. Whatever the cause, the result was heartbreaking. Bernie Worrell may be gone, but his legacy plays on. In every funky bassline, every soulful riff, and every fan who still grooves to the sound he helped create. Billie Holiday, a voice of gold, a life of pain. Billie Holiday, known to the world as Lady Day, was more than just a jazz singer. She was a force of emotion, a soul laid bare in every note. With haunting classics like Strange Fruit and God Bless the Child, she carved her name into the heart of American music. But behind the beauty of her voice was a life marked by deep suffering. Years of alcohol and drug abuse took a brutal toll on her body, eventually leading to cirrhosis, a slow, unforgiving disease that stole her strength and silenced the voice that once captivated millions. Despite her desperate fight to keep performing, her health crumbled. In 1959, at just 44 years old, Billie Holiday passed away. Her death wasn't just a tragic loss for music, it was the heartbreaking finale to a life consumed by addiction. The very substances she once turned to for comfort became the demons that destroyed her. And with them, the world lost Lady Day, a legend whose pain echoed in every song she ever sang. Ella Fitzgerald, the First Lady of Jazz, from amputation to her final curtain call. Ella Fitzgerald, the legendary First Lady of Jazz, enchanted the world with timeless classics like Summertime and Dream a Little Dream of Me. Her voice was pure magic, silky, soulful, unforgettable. But behind the spotlight and the standing ovations was a woman battling unimaginable pain. Diabetes, a cruel and relentless disease, slowly robbed her of her health. The fatigue was unbearable, the pain constant. And in the end, it forced Ella to make a heartbreaking decision. Both of her legs had to be amputated. The very legs that once danced across the stage with elegance and fire were gone. Yet, even in the face of such devastation, Ella never let go of her music. She kept singing. Every note was a triumph, even as it echoed with sorrow and struggle. In 1996, the world lost more than a jazz icon. We lost a warrior. Ella Fitzgerald left behind a legacy of brilliance, but also a haunting reminder of how illness can quietly shatter even the strongest spirits. Lena Horn, the shining star dimmed by heart disease. Lena Horn, the legendary film and jazz icon best known for her haunting rendition of Stormy Weather, lit up every stage she touched. But behind the glamour and grace was a woman silently battling a relentless heart disease that no one saw coming. At a time when the entertainment industry was steeped in racism and discrimination, Lena carried the weight of being a trailblazer, and that pressure took a heavy toll. Her relentless schedule, the constant fight for respect, and the emotional burden of breaking barriers may have all fed the illness that slowly stole her strength. Though she soared to incredible heights, her heart could not keep pace. Bit by bit, the disease dimmed her light, robbing her of the stage she once commanded with ease. As the curtain quietly fell on her remarkable career, Lena was forced to step away, but her passion for music never left her soul. In 2010, the world lost more than just a performer. It lost a voice that had weathered every storm and still managed to sing. Lena Horn may be gone, but the void she left behind still echoes in the hearts of those who loved her. Mahalia Jackson, the Queen of Gospel, silenced by a failing heart. Mahalia Jackson, the legendary Queen of Gospel, captivated millions with her soul-stirring voice and timeless songs like Move On Up a Little Higher. She became more than a singer, she was a beacon of hope, faith, and resilience. But behind the radiant spotlight and the thunderous applause was a woman quietly waging a painful battle. Diabetes and heart disease slowly began to take their toll, stealing the strength that once carried her powerful voice across concert halls and church pews. Though the music still burned brightly within her, each breath became more labored, each heartbeat a struggle. As her heart weakened, Mahalia was forced to step away from the stage that had become her second home. In 1972, the world lost a voice that had lifted so many. Mahalia Jackson passed away, leaving behind a deep ache in the hearts of those who loved her. Yet even in death, her legacy endures. Her voice still echoes through time, a testament to the woman who sang through both joy and pain, and whose spirit will never be silenced. Barry White, the iconic king of love, whose smooth, seductive voice won over millions with timeless hits like "You're the First, the Last, My Everything," passed away in agony. Behind that deep, velvety voice was a man battling an invisible enemy: high blood pressure. A demanding career in the music industry, endless touring, and the relentless pressure to maintain his public image took a heavy toll on his body. As his health quietly deteriorated, the disease ravaged him from within, sending his blood pressure spiraling out of control. Despite his efforts to uphold the larger-than-life persona that made him a legend, his body could no longer withstand the internal damage. Once adored by fans, Barry White became a shadow of himself, battling kidney failure during long hospital stays. His untimely death in 2003, at just 58 years old, left the world in mourning, offering a heartbreaking reminder of the hidden cost of neglecting one's health. Richard Pryor, the comedic genius whose unforgettable roles in films like Stir Crazy had the world roaring with laughter, faced a silent battle few ever saw. Behind the laughter, he was a warrior, battling the invisible enemy of multiple sclerosis, MS, a brutal disease that relentlessly attacked his body, destroying his nerve cells. This cruel illness didn't just take a toll on his physical health. It stripped away the very joy of life that had fueled his career and made him a household name. MS robbed Pryor of his ability to move, stealing even the simplest pleasures most of us take for granted. Excruciating pain and devastating seizures rendered him unable to perform on stage, turning a once vibrant, sharp mind into a frail shell of its former self. Yet, despite everything, Pryor never gave up. He fought through the pain, pushing forward with the same fierce determination that had made him a legend in the first place. Richard Pryor's death in 2005 was a heart-wrenching loss, but his spirit, his humor, and his incomparable comedic legacy will live on, echoing through the laughter he gave to the world. Minnie Ripperton, the extraordinary singer with a voice that could reach the heavens, was taken from us too soon, a victim of cancer at just 31 years old. Known for her breathtaking, high-pitched vocals in the iconic song "Loving You," Minnie dedicated her life to music, capturing the hearts of millions with her unique gift. But just as her career was reaching new heights, an insidious enemy, breast cancer, struck. At only 20 years old, Minnie was diagnosed with this brutal disease, far too young to face such a cruel challenge. Despite the relentless chemotherapy and excruciating pain, she refused to let it silence her. She continued to sing, perform, and spread her light, even as the illness stole her strength. Her battle was not just one of survival, but of resilience and grace. Minnie Ripperton's story is a testament to the power of a spirit that never gave up, a woman who sang through her pain and left an indelible mark on the world. Her legacy lives on, proving that even in the face of unimaginable hardship, the human spirit can soar. Tammy Terrell, a rising star with boundless potential, captivated the world with her unforgettable duets alongside Marvin Gaye. At the height of her career, with hits like "Ain't No Mountain High Enough" echoing through the airwaves, her future seemed limitless. But just as she was beginning to reach her peak, tragedy struck. At barely 20 years old, Tammy was diagnosed with a devastating foe, a brain tumor. The relentless pain robbed her of the ability to perform, even as her soul yearned to sing those sweet melodies that had brought her so much joy. The disease swiftly took its toll, and the painful treatments felt like a waking nightmare. While the cause of this cruel illness remains a mystery, the heart-wrenching outcome was tragically clear. At just 24, Tammy passed away, leaving behind an unfinished career brimming with untapped promise and an ocean of grief among her devoted fans. Sure, here's a more emotionally engaging and captivating rewrite. Donnie Hathaway was a musical genius whose soulful voice and unforgettable hits like A Song for You and This Christmas cemented his place as an icon. But behind the stunning performances and chart-topping songs, a silent and devastating battle raged within him. Schizophrenia, a relentless and cruel illness, began to take hold of Donnie from a young age, slowly unraveling his mind and his life. Panic attacks, mental breakdowns, and constant instability haunted him, turning every day into an exhausting struggle. Despite his unyielding passion for music, the grip of his illness grew tighter, draining both his health and his clarity. The overwhelming pressures of his career, his personal life, and his mental turmoil became too much to bear. Despite seeking treatment, nothing could lift the heavy weight on his shoulders. In 1979, at just 33 years old, Donnie tragically ended his life by jumping from a hotel balcony, leaving behind a legacy that was far too short, but infinitely rich in its impact. Florence Ballard, once a shining star of the legendary Motown group, the Supremes, met her tragic end in solitude. A voice that once lit up the 1960s music scene, Florence was the heartbeat of a generation. But after leaving the group, her life took a dark turn. Battling addiction and spiraling into financial ruin, the star who had dazzled millions faded quietly into obscurity. Consumed by the pain of a career lost and a life marked by loneliness, Florence sought solace in alcohol, her escape from the relentless bitterness of it all. As the remaining Supremes continued to bask in their success, Florence was trapped in a downward spiral no one could help her break free from. In 1976, at just 32, she passed away suddenly, her once bright musical dreams shattered, leaving behind a legacy of unrealized potential and heartbreak. Heavy D, the iconic rapper behind hits like Now That We Found Love, once reigned over the music world with his undeniable talent and unique style. But behind the glitz and glamour, he was quietly fighting a battle that no one saw coming: heart disease. This cruel illness silently ravaged his body, all while he continued to perform, giving his fans the energy and passion they loved. As his health steadily declined, frequent hospital visits became a harsh reality, but he kept pushing forward. In 2011, at the young age of 44, Heavy D tragically passed away, leaving an irreplaceable void in the hearts of his devoted fans. The pressures of fame, combined with neglecting his health, ultimately took him too soon, and his untapped potential remains one of the greatest losses in the music world. Gregory Hines, a true legend of tap dance, captivated the world with his mesmerizing talent and unforgettable performances. His name became synonymous with artistry and grace, embodying the very essence of tap dancing. But behind the spotlight, Hines was facing an enemy he couldn't outdance: liver cancer. This relentless disease didn't just threaten his body, it stripped him of the future he so passionately dreamed of. Each round of chemotherapy was a brutal reminder of the toll it took on him, each wave of pain a harsh battle that drained his spirit. As his life slowly slipped away, his final months became a harrowing struggle against a foe that no amount of talent could defeat. In 2003, Gregory Hines passed away, leaving a profound void in the world of arts, a loss that still echoes today. Bernie Mac, the comedic legend who brought laughter to millions, has passed away, leaving behind an unforgettable legacy. Known for his iconic roles in The Bernie Mac Show and Ocean's 11, his infectious humor and one-of-a-kind style won the hearts of audiences everywhere. Yet, behind the bright smile and booming laughter was a battle with a silent enemy: sarcoidosis. This cruel autoimmune disease, which causes painful inflammation in the organs, particularly the lungs, turned everyday life into a relentless struggle for Bernie. Though his health slowly deteriorated, Bernie Mac refused to let his suffering define him. On stage, he remained the picture of joy, energy, and resilience, hiding the excruciating pain he faced off camera. But even the most powerful of spirits can only fight for so long. Despite his best efforts to push through the persistent cough, crippling fatigue, and mounting health challenges, Bernie Mac's sudden death in 2008 left a hole that no one could ever fill. He was more than just a comedian, he was a beacon of strength, and his loss is still felt deeply. Ruby Dee, once an unshakable pillar of courage and creativity, was a woman whose passion for social justice and dedication to the arts carved her into an enduring icon. From the early days of her stellar film career, Ruby captured the hearts of the public, becoming a symbol of strength and resilience. But as the years passed, even her remarkable spirit had to bow to an invisible adversary, time. In her later years, both her body and mind began to falter, her once boundless energy fading. Simple tasks grew daunting, and the commanding voice that once echoed with power became a quiet whisper. As her steps slowed and the world she had so passionately contributed to moved on, Ruby gracefully withdrew, making room for the next generation of artists and activists. At the age of 91, Ruby Dee passed away in 2014, leaving behind not just a legacy, but a bittersweet reminder of the profound impact she made on both the arts and the fight for justice. Dogg, the legendary voice behind iconic hits like Regulate, dedicated his life to hip-hop, captivating the world with his soulful, emotional tone. But in a heartbreaking twist, his life was shattered by two devastating strokes. From a shining star, he found himself thrust into a fierce battle for survival. The strokes robbed him of the very gift that had defined him, the ability to perform. Dreams that had yet to be fulfilled were cruelly snatched away, and the voice that once moved millions became a silent reminder of his struggle. As Nate's health spiraled, each passing day brought more pain and loss, taking with it the soaring notes that had once left fans in awe. Despite his relentless fight, on March 15, 2011, at just 41, Dogg passed away, leaving the world in profound sorrow. His death wasn't just the loss of a legendary artist, it was a painful reminder of how fragile life truly is, and how quickly the moments we cherish can be gone. Alvin Ay, a dance legend brought low by unbearable pain, remains an irreplaceable icon in the world of modern dance. As the founder of Alvin Ay American Dance Theater and the visionary behind Revelations, his legacy shaped the very essence of dance. Yet behind his powerful movements and breathtaking performances lies a deeply tragic tale, one of a brilliant artist slowly undone by a cruel illness. Once the epitome of physical strength, Alvin Ay's health began to deteriorate, eroding both his body and his spirit. Sleepless nights, plagued by excruciating pain, confined him as though he were trapped in his own body, a prisoner to his own suffering. His resilience, unwavering for so long, was finally tested beyond its limits. Despite his relentless commitment to his art, his declining health forced him to step away from the stage he once owned. In 1989, Alvin Ay passed away, leaving behind dreams unfulfilled and works unfinished. His legacy is undeniably rich, but it is also marked by the heartbreaking sorrow of what could have been. Life is fragile, and even our brightest stars, once untouchable, are not immune to the insurmountable waves of fate. The 30 names featured in today's video were all forced to leave the spotlight, not because of a lack of talent, but because illness stole their health, their dreams, and in some cases, their very lives. Does this story of strength and loss stir something deep within you? Reflect on the fragility of life, and share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, so you never miss more untold stories from the glittering world of Hollywood.